What's interesting about allowing behavior is you're actually promoting behavior. So, one of the most important things to do in your practice is to have some form of stated behavioral standards. This doesn't need to be a 19-item list of, in this case, do this, in this case, do this, but 2, 3, 4 behaviors that you expect when you come to work. Here is who we are. Here is how we act. Welcome to another episode of the Physician Growth Accelerator, a show where we break down your private medical practice systems into vitals, give you the tools to diagnose root cause of what may be restricting your growth, and prescribe what to do about it. I'm your host, Zed Williamson, and I believe that everything you and I experience, everyone on the planet, it is the perfect outcome of our current system. And if you let that sink in, you realize how much power there is in that, because that means if we want something different, all we need to do is to take a step back, take a little responsibility, and tweak the system. And this is related to everything. And the reason that this is important is because there is likely something that you're experiencing in your private medical practice that either you don't like, maybe you ignore, maybe you know it's detrimental, but you don't know what to do about it. Maybe it's turned into habit. It's something that's been going on so long, and it just feels like, well, I guess this is the way it is. And what's so funny, the correlation and between business and medicine. Imagine a patient saying that they're waking up feeling away, and I guess this is the way I'm supposed to be, and all these things that are keeping them from taking care of what's going wrong. And you see them typically a little bit too late because something finally snaps and they go, okay, I'm going to do something about it. They come to you and you can offer a solution and they're going, holy moly, I thought I was just supposed to live this way. I didn't know I could fix this. And in your mind, you're going, well, yeah, that's what I do. I fix these things. And that can exist in your business as well. And so the topic I wanted to discuss today, just because it comes up a lot, this time of year as people are kind of setting goals and dealing with teams, setting up plans, and that is conflict. Specifically, conflict in the office in some kind of public setting between between two or more people. It'd be weird to have a one-person conflict. But some signs that this may be happening in your practice is, are there any eggshell walkers? Meaning, are there people that tiptoe around some employees? Are you someone that people are on eggshells around? Or are you on eggshells around certain people where, okay, well, everything's good as long as we don't rock the boat too much? Is this behavior allowed? Or what is allowed? What are the standards for behavior in the organization? If someone were to act out and there be this kind of public conflict between 2 employees or 3 employees, would anybody do anything? Would anybody say anything? Or is that just everyone kind of turns their head and goes, well, Martha's just having one of those days. Everyone kind of chill out and let's leave Martha alone. What does it feel like in your office? Does too much time pass and you feel like, oh man, I really need to talk to this person about that, but stuff gets in the way, so much time passes, and now you're thinking to yourself, well, I didn't say anything at the moment, and now so much time has passed, it's really not going to be effective for me to say anything now, so you don't. Are there inconsistent standards, meaning sometimes things are said, in some cases this behavior is called out, and in others, they're not. And is anybody untouchable in the office? Meaning, is there somebody who maybe helped you get the practice started years ago and were very helpful, and they've turned into this untouchable person that maybe isn't as beneficial to the practice anymore, and they've let their behavior slide? Are there other people that are untouchable in the practice for whatever reason? And do those people act out, or do other people avoid those people because of eggshells? So any of those cases or any version of that, I 100% know that anybody listening to this would agree that that's not best case scenario. And it is the perfect outcome of your current system. That's why there's so much power in that belief. What you're experiencing, any of those frustrations, if you are, we have to basically accept that we should expect that behavior based on our current systems. And we can't expect it to change just because it should change. That would be silly. But typically that's what our brain wants to do as business owners, is we want to say things like, I would never do that, or it's ridiculous that we do this. They should know better. And that's really us just kind of taking the blame off of ourselves. It's our brain trying to make ourselves comfortable, when in reality, it's a behavior that is being allowed. And as the leader of the practice, it's being allowed by you. And the challenge is you may not be in a position where you know what to do with that. And so you continue to allow it. And what's interesting about allowing behavior is you're actually promoting behavior. That's what's really kind of fascinating from a neuroscience standpoint, from your employee's perspective, is if Martha is a person that people are walking on eggshells around, and Martha blows up, and that behavior is allowed, it's teaching the rest of the team that there's some value in Martha doing that, which is silly, but it is what we're teaching people. So one of the most important things to do in your practice is to have some form of stated behavioral standards. This doesn't need to be a 19-item list of, in this case, do this, in this case, do this, but 2, 3, 4 behaviors that you expect when you come to work. Here is who we are. Here is how we act. Because when you put that in writing, everyone is going to agree with it because it makes sense and it's stated. And then now, instead of any of this interaction being between me and another person, it's between the other person and what is stated. Like, hey, remember, our standards are this. You did this. That is out of the standard. And this is a normal societal thing. If you decided that from now on you're just going to run stop signs at whatever the speed limit is of the street, you're breaking a standard. And that standard is going to be called out, and there's going to be consequences for you breaking that standard. Now, you could continue to break that standard until it basically becomes impossible for you to break that standard. And that's what it needs to feel like in the organization. What happens is when eggshells arise, what our brain is doing is our brain is saying, okay, Martha does this task. If Martha's not there to do this task, that means someone else has to do this task. But Martha's really good at this task. And if I do something that sets Martha off, then that task doesn't get done. So I guess for now, I'm just going to not do anything, and we'll just get through it. And it seems like the easy way to go, but what we're doing is we're really bogging down our business. We are throwing anchors out at the same time as trying to accelerate, and it just doesn't work. And so the key is state the behavioral standards. Who are you as an organization? What is the behavior that is expected? And the second, any behavior that goes against that, if there's anything that's incongruent, we have to call it out, because that tells people that it's actually important. And when we do that, the people who are your greatest employees will, first of all, be more appreciative, because they'll go, oh, finally, okay. So I'm not supposed to lose my mind if something goes wrong. Secondly, the people may not realize that they're doing it because they're not getting any feedback. There are personality profiles where their behavior, they're simply unaware. And you could think that's silly, but that doesn't really help. So if someone's unaware of their behavior, can we show them a mirror and say, hey, look, this is unacceptable. We expect something different. And they'll most of the time, 99 times out of 100, they'll go, oh, okay, gosh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. And what it does is it also creates design in regards to what people are supposed to do when they show up each day. The other thing, this is a bigger idea that would take a little bit more work. But there is value in teaching your team members that it is on them when they lose it. Conflict is not because of someone else. It's because of our own beliefs about what someone is doing. And we never really want to be in a position where I'm going to give my power to you to set me off. I want to be able to own and say, I heavily believe in this thing, and that's why I'm going to be passionate or angry or upset. But I also want to understand that, well, you know what? It doesn't make sense for me to be upset or angry in this situation. And we live in a world now where people are going home. They might be connecting with spouses about getting upset. They're on social media, which is just bam, 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 hitting them with different emotions all the time. And then they come to work and no one talks to them about acting in a behavior that doesn't really reflect who you are. And so when it comes to this public conflict, the number one thing to do is have set standards of behavior. Write them down. Go over them with your team. And everyone's going to go, well, yeah, that makes total sense. We should be all doing that. And the second anyone operates outside of that, someone has to call attention to it. And it's not your bad. It's not your wrong. It's like, hey, you're going outside of the standard. You're running the stop sign at 45 miles an hour. It's not going to work. So I hope that's helpful. If you ever have any questions on how to implement this type of work into your practice, always feel free to reach out to the Physician Growth Accelerator. And also check out the vitals page on our website. You can go to physiciangrowthaccelerator.com, check your vitals, and it's just like a symptom score that maybe you would give to a patient, and it helps you identify really where are the problem areas in the operation of your business. And with that, we'll see you next time on the Physician Growth Accelerator.